Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Laura Canfield Show. This is the Create Your Life video series, and I'm so excited today to be talking to Maggie Emerson about how to go beyond mediocre to infinite possibility. And, this is something that we've been talking about throughout the whole series, and so many different things are coming up for so many people. It's like we ask the same sort of questions, but the stories and the experiences and the conversation has been different for each time, right? Each show. So I'm so excited to have this conversation with Maggie. And for those of you who don't know Maggie, I'll just tell you a little bit about her. Because, Maggie is, I think, one of those people that, when I see her on Facebook, especially, and just, all of her posts and so on, she's so full of life, so alive, right? And it's like, she's always smiling. It's like, oh, I just love her energy. So she is an adventurer, right? And are you? And, so for me, it's like when somebody says they're an adventurer, it's like an adventurer of life, so life becomes an adventure. And how much fun is that? So one of Maggie's greatest joys and gifts is to assist others to use question, choice, possibility, and contribution as a way to create greater in business and in the world. And so when Maggie is not facilitating classes or one-on-one sessions, you will find her traveling the world, discovering trails to explore and adventuring wherever she may roam. And some of Maggie's favorite adventures have included cycle touring New Zealand while pulling her then 2-year-old son behind her and spending 3 months living in a Volkswagen camper van, touring the European Alps while hiking, biking, and truly enjoying the thrill of living an adventurous life. I love that because life truly can be an adventure, and it can be fun and it can be joyful. And Maggie believes business truly can be done anywhere at any time with great amounts of fun and joy. And best of all, and this is the thing I really love, if you include your body in the creation of your life, living in business, it gets better by the day. And so, I love that because we talked to Greg Briers on Monday, and he's a body guy, right? And I told him, I said, I never included the body in anything until like the past year. But in this reality, if you're going to create, you need to include your body because your body's creating with you. So, so welcome to the show, Maggie.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited. My whole body's buzzing.
Yay! So because you're new to the show, right? And this whole series is new, can you just tell us a little bit about you and how you got started with Access Consciousness? Because we are using and sharing the tools of Access Consciousness in this series for everyone. And start off with that, and then I always ask a lot of questions at once. So go ahead.
Absolutely. So how I got started with Access Consciousness was who my friend I'm at now, Heather Nichols. I knew her through a different modality called Nia. That I moved with her, I danced with her, and then when I was in Europe. Doing the camper van tour, I was watching her on Facebook. So I was having the adventure of a lifetime. Well, inside, I was fighting with myself, I was unhappy. And so I was watching her world get happier and happier. And I was like, I'll have that. Whatever she's doing, I'll have that. And so when I was hiking in Europe, I would go and I'd put the Gary and Dane's radio show on, and I'd go hiking and listen to them, and I'd come back happier and happier each time. And then that adventure that I've always had from the beginning, but it kind of dissipated for a while there, it came back. And so that was the beginning. And it'll be 3 years as of December 3rd that I took my first bars class and foundation. Yeah.
Good for you. So, because, the bars is the starting point of all of Access, and then foundation, and then there's lots of other advanced classes and courses that people can take. But the first step is the bars, and that does start to begin to change your reality and change your world, right? So can you tell me what some of your favorite tools are that you've been using to create your reality, to change your life and business in the world?
Absolutely. So I kid you not, the basic tools are the ones I continuously go back to, the what else is possible and the how does it get better than this. Even for the next week, someone had posted on Facebook recently of what one tool will you put to use this week? And this week I am, how does it get better than thising all over the map? And so it really is that, the how does it get better than this? What else is possible are my go-tos. And then one of the ones that dynamically changed my world so I just recently, I got unmarried, and I'm creating my life quite differently now, quite much happier even so now. And I had a 20-minute drive, and I would say for 20 minutes out loud, all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. And it truly does.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are great tools. I mean, I use those ones every day myself too, I love those. And the thing is that when you start to use them, whatever is going on in that moment starts to shift, right? And if you're aware, if you can perceive, yourself, your energy, your thoughts, your feelings, you'll notice that they start to shift as when you start using those tools. But it's not just like one time, what else is possible? And it's not just one time, how does it get better than this? You have to do it constantly until you are aware of that shift, right? Until you can sense or perceive the shift happening in your universe, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's also the asking it, the energy behind the ask. So if you're like, how does it get better than this? Well, that's what's going to show up. If you're like, I'm like driving today, I drove from home about 6.5 hours to where I am now. And for some reason I was doing the time thing where it felt like forever. And I was like, oh, this is not fun. Like, I have places to be, things to do. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, so how does it get better than this? And there was this beautiful, like the sunrise became like, even like just, it kept getting greater, and I'd pause and I'd take a picture. I'm like, no wonder it's taking longer. But
yeah.
And then how does
it get fun?
It's more fun. And it made it. And then the last little bit that tends to be the part of the drive that it isn't quite as adventurous and as fun for me, I was like, how does it get better than this? And boom, here I am.
Beautiful. And, I just wanted to, because I forgot to say at the beginning, if you have a question, you can raise your hand or you can type it into the Q&A and the chat box, and you can ask your question. Because, part of the magic of these conversations is that it's a conversation. Right? So it's not just me and you talking, but it's about other people, what kinds of questions are coming up for them, what issues, are coming up for them, or where they would like to get a new perspective, right, on what's going on. So I know that you are very busy with your life, because you have a young son, right? And you're also really dynamic in business.
Yes. So
do you use these same tools in business as well, or do you use other tools?
I use these same tools and other tools. I mean, they all intermingle. Yes. And that what's the one thing as a joy of business facilitator as well, your life is your business and your business is your life. That's not to say you're working all the time. It's to say like these tools are part of creating the moment by moment, the day to day, and as I would say, the adventure. And so yeah, in parenting, these tools actually have been dynamic in changing parenting for me, which has shown me they expand each other. So when sometimes when parenting can get challenging, I put a tool to use and I see how dynamic it is. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go remember that when I'm in my business, because there's so many tools. It's like sometimes I know sometimes I forget. I'm like, oh, that tool, it's easy to use over here in parenting. Let's play with it over here in business.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there are so many tools, right? And that's the thing with Access. There's just so many tools that we can use in a moment, in a situation, that sometimes it can become, I don't know, it's like blank, because it's like, which tool do I use, right? And so then I guess you could ask the question, okay, which tool can I use?
Yeah, exactly. That's brilliant. Like, which tool can I use here? Or what question can I ask here? Because that's like what this conversation is about. And what I always inspire people is question, choice, possibility, contribution. If you start with a question, you take off the blinders, you open the doors to the more that is available. It's that, that frustration when something isn't changing, that's a knowing that there's doors waiting to open.
Oh, I love that. I was going to say, oh, that's a knowing that there are doors closed. No, that's that there are doors waiting to be opened. It's like, wow.
Yeah. And all it takes is your willingness to see the door. They're there.
Yeah. I love that. Huh. See, so I just got an aha. It's like, huh.
How does it get better than that?
Exactly. Wow. Okay, cool. So, when I was reading up on your bio and stuff, and had how it talks about choice, question, contribution, and possibility.
Mm-hmm.
So, we talked about question a lot, right, on this show. And question is about not mentally asking the question. You're asking the question and then sensing the shift that happens, or being open to the answer coming to you at some point. For me, that's how it is. I just ask the question with the sense of wonder, a sense of questioning, not like forcing something to show up in a certain way. But how do you get out of that control?
Yeah. How do you stop being control freak? Hi, one. Hi, Control Freaks Anonymous. It's the curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
It's really like think of the Curious George and the man in the yellow hat always comes to mind, even though it's not the curiosity that creates havoc like George does, but it's really being in that space of curiousness and truly letting go. And even I'm like, it's so funny how this drive is such a contribution to this conversation, is like, there are things that when I've been asking questions about lately that I so want the answers to. And it's like, I've wrapped myself up in a rope and I'm asking questions like this.
Yeah.
Right. I'm really squeezed up, and it's that. So the curiosity, and then it's allowing yourself. So even notice, I know there's some people listening to the audio, I think, in the future, but right now my shoulders are coming up. And when I actually ask a question from a space of curiosity, there's like a total relaxation in my body. And then there's a spaciousness in my being.
I like that. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So that's a great description, because you're right. Sometimes when we're asking a question, we're forcing, we're controlled, we're tight, we're restrictive. But when you're asking the question and being the space of possibility, you're open to anything showing up, however it shows up. Right?
Yes. And can I share a story too?
Yes.
So I actually asked this really, really fascinating story of ask and you shall receive. And then using the, how does it get better than this? So it was in April of last year. I kind of was like, I come up to Boulder a lot, which is near Denver. I'm like, what would it be like to be flown to Denver and then escorted to where I need to be? Because that would be so cool. So lo and behold, my asks come to reality pretty quickly. My son broke his arm so badly, we had to be flown to Denver and escorted to where we needed to be. So I took that as, okay, wow. And not that I I didn't break my kid's arm, but I was like, okay, there's something that I asked for in this creation. Yeah. Right. And so I was like, okay, so what else is possible here? And I asked out of curiosity, and I didn't set the defined things, because in the original ask, it kind of was defined to Denver, escorted to where I needed to be. And it was very clear that that's how it showed up. And then I asked again, I said, okay, so what would it be like to be flown around and then be flown back happily to Durango? And it was it was an adventure where no one was hurt. And lo and behold, a couple weeks later, a client of mine took me flying in his airplane, and we did just that.
Nice.
So it's the willingness to not like that whole question thing, is to truly be in the question. Okay, well, what else is possible here? And if something shows up like you didn't think it would, like my son, like that flight for life, for me, I wasn't in the wrongness of it. I mean, sure, I wouldn't want to wish that upon him. I wasn't in the wrongness of it. I was like, okay, so if I can ask for this and this shows up, what else can I ask for?
Exactly. Right. And how potent are you that you can ask and it shows up?
Yeah.
It shows up, but it showed up, right?
It showed up. And that's the key. And that's the cultivation of creating your own life, is you ask and it shows up.
And then acknowledging when it shows up, so that just just acknowledging it, right?
Yeah.
And then next time you ask, you'll know, hey, you know what? I've already asked for other stuff and they've shown up. Wow. So what would it take for this to show up as well? Whatever this is, right?
Right. And it's just I bring us to the body all the time. It's like building a muscle. If you want to be able to hold the plank for 2 minutes, if we all know the plank, some people can start at 2 minutes at the plank, but it's not it might don't even make me try right now. But it's it doesn't have to be totally linear progression, but there is the continuous choice to keep choosing towards that 2 minutes, the continuous choice to go, you know what, I'm going to keep asking, and I'm going to notice what shows up, and then I'm going to acknowledge it. So it becomes this muscle that you're constantly squeezing, or like your heart naturally beats.
Mm-hmm.
It just beats more. You become the athlete at ask and receive.
I love that. Becoming the athlete of ask and receive. And the more that you practice it, the more that you strengthen that muscle, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I want to ask the question that I may not read the whole thing, Caroline, but I'm going to ask the question. So I'll paraphrase a little bit. So I posted your gift on the gift page today, right? Or today or yesterday, whatever. And Caroline went there and she was filling out the information. Mm-hmm. And so when she got to the information about, are you willing to do whatever it takes, she canceled the page. So she didn't go through with it, right? And she said, I can't do, and this is what she's saying, I can't do whatever it takes for me to live a less mediocre life than the life I live now, which is awesome, but it's a job I would prefer not to be at. As they say, if money weren't the issue, what would you do, be, or have? And she says, I would not work this job. I would enjoy playing with my many gifts during those hours I now spend at work to pay my current life bills. And time and money and time is where I feel stuck. I would love to be more of what I love, and I am not motivated after a work day, travel home, walk dogs, supper, hubby, daughters, grandchildren, etc., to do anything else. So she didn't book the gift.
Gotcha. All right. So
Caroline, number one, go back and book the gift.
Caroline, I double dog dare you. I'm not going to make you do anything. It's just about getting clarity, right? And that whole, okay, good. It's really like the doing whatever it takes is the willingness to make you a priority, right? And whatever it takes could mean, like lately, like doing whatever it takes today meant I got up at 4 a.m. so I could be here in time to be on this conversation. And it was fun. I put my music on in the shower, and it's like doing whatever it takes. 4 a.m. is not always fun. It often is fun for me because I'm a morning person. Mm-hmm. But it's the willingness to do whatever it takes. And maybe it is getting up earlier to do the work because you know that when you're done at the end of the day, it's tough. Right. And for me, like as an example, for me, just so that see if it matches like and contributes to you, is my kiddo when I have him. So I have him a little bit more than half the time, and he finishes school at 3 p.m. And so a work day for me, I love to create and I love to work. So to finish at 3 p.m. doesn't actually work that well for me. Mm-hmm. So I've been asking questions about that. And I've now put in place some after school care help with him. But I also now noticed from this morning, I'm like, oh, I could actually do 2 hours of work before he wakes up and then be ready to rock and roll and have a dynamic playtime with him when he's done. And notice like the sound of my voice, there's a lot of joy to that. Mm-hmm. versus there was a little less joy to, I found care for him. Right. Yeah. And it's the willingness to do whatever it takes. And if that means that every other week I'm up at 4 a.m. and I go to bed at the same time as him, I'll do it. It's not my ideal, but I'll do it.
And normally though, when you are doing something that you love, that brings you joy, it doesn't feel like work and you don't really get that tired normally. I don't know. That's how it is for me. When sometimes if I'm in the flow and I'm going, time just goes by and I don't even realize, right? And I'm like, I'm not tired. I could do this more, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Right? And then also like, is that something that, Caroline and everybody else, that we could include our body in? Because part of what it is for Caroline, I think, is about the time, and the money, and also the physical body. She doesn't have the physical energy to do everything, as along with, trying to create the life that she'd like with the work and the kids and everything else, right?
Mm-hmm. And the other thing, and I look at this on clarity calls too, but we can look at it right now, is like, what would you truly like to create? Like, is what you're saying what you want to create, or is it what you think you should create? Mm-hmm. And getting clear on that. And it may be something similar to what you would like to create, but there may be a slight tweak in it, right? So it's really getting clear on that, because then that opens up the space. That opens up like the 4 a.m.s that are ridiculously fun, right?
Yeah, because I was messaging you this morning, and it's like, oh, like, did she just go to bed like 2 hours ago? And it's like, why is she up? It's like, why is she messaging me? It's like, she should be asleep. It's like, so I was
No.
surprised.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think, go ahead. I was going to say the body piece is huge, and including the body. And this is a huge topic of the including your body and the conversation with your body, and asking your body what it requires to create what you want to create. Because sometimes I'll probably need to nurture my body in a certain way on the days that I get up earlier. And so there's an awareness of that. And there's a dialogue versus a monologue with the body that you can begin to have that will create more. And that's like a whole other conversation.
Yeah. That is. So, I mean, you can go back and listen to Greg's call the other day too, as well. But it's about, honoring your body as well, right? Because there's sometimes we don't include the body. And if we did include the body and ask the body questions, perhaps we would have more ease and we could create more, right?
Yeah.
My heart is beating 1,000,000 miles a minute now.
I'm like, is that excitement? Is that possibility on the horizon?
So what does that mean, possibility?
That's a good question. I've never, possibility, huh?
Because, it says in your bio, right? It says, choice, possibility, and contribution. So it's like, I'm pretty good with the choice and the question and the contribution. What is possibility?
Possibility is it is taking the blinders off is the best way to describe it. To go even in business, like right now, my business, I'm really having some cool conversations with my business and what does my business want to be? And there's different aspects and what possibilities are here that I haven't considered. Mm-hmm. Right. And so in that, it's like,
that's a great question.
Yeah. Yeah. What possibilities are here that I haven't considered? And the possibilities are, now I'm actually going to be starting working with this brilliant, OBGYN, with access consciousness tools and bodies and pregnancy and all that, so that it gets out in the world. And that showed up from asking that question. I would not have ever been able to go to my mind and I want to work with a doctor who's doing this, who's doing this. Never.
I think I know who that is.
I think you do too. And so possibilities really are even if you look at the stars in the sky, right? Yeah. It's like all of that. And it's just a matter of which one are you going to pick at, look at, and bring to fruition. And it's not one, it's how many?
Yeah, exactly. How many? And, and that's what's interesting. I'm finding right now we're near the end of November, right? And people are starting to look into 2018. And so there's this flux happening right now. It's like, okay, what am I doing next year? What am I doing with my business? What am I doing with my life? People are, and they may not be starting to think about it too concretely, but it's there because 2018 is coming up, right? So what kinds of questions can we ask for ourselves so that we can start to create the future for 2018 now? Mm-hmm.
So that is a great question that you just asked.
I don't even know what I said. Okay.
So you said, what questions can I start asking now to create and I'm going to a greater future in 2018 and beyond now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Exactly. And it's okay, well, what would you like your life and living to look like?
Right.
Right. And so, and then letting all of the points of view of what it should be right now, what it shouldn't be right now, and really look at, okay, what works for me right now? What's working? Mm-hmm. Right. And not that it has to stay the same, always be willing to change, but what's working? Right. And then what's not working? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then, if this isn't working, how, can I change it? And if so, how?
Right. Yeah, those 4 questions. What is it? What can I do with it? Can I change it? How can I change it?
Yeah. And those, right. And it's being present with what is. And it's actually being vulnerable enough with yourself to go, okay, this is what's showing up in my life, and whether like this is what's been created by me. What would I like to create now? And really, but not making anything wrong that you want to change. Nothing.
And no judgment.
No judgment. And
wrong.
it's just like literally stop it whenever you go into but I'm not there yet. Well, you'll never be there because you'll always want to be further down the road than you are. Right. And it's that acknowledgement piece too. What can I acknowledge today? What can I acknowledge that I've created today?
Yes. That's a good one, because we don't acknowledge, what we have created so far, whether it's, no judgment, but everything that how can I say this in a nice way? Right? It's like, but there are many times that I have created stuff that I didn't acknowledge at all, and as partly it's because like, oh, well, it was so easy, or it was fun. Oh, that wasn't hard. It didn't even feel like work. So it's like, what is there to acknowledge when, it's so easy? I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit here, but you know what I'm saying? It's like,
absolutely. Because when it's so easy, it's like, well, yeah, of course it got done. Like, yeah. Right. And it's like, no, actually, especially when you go to that space of like, yeah, whatever. That's what you really like. You want to acknowledge everything that you create because you create everything. And those parts and pieces of you where you're like, yeah, that's what you want to go, wait a second. Is there something that like I know about this that I can acknowledge now?
Yeah. And what can we acknowledge every day, like you said, because maybe that is also a muscle that we need to strengthen.
Absolutely. And it's that what I encourage people and like invite everybody to like is that acknowledgement of your very presence in people's worlds creates a difference.
Wow. Huh. I like that. Oh my goodness. Yes. That's
and what
to hear that. It's like, wow.
Yeah. And what Simone Milasas, who's the creator of Joy Business, talks about is if you make if you change one person's life, you're successful.
Right.
So
I just read that in her book.
Oh yeah. How did you better than that? You didn't need to hear that at all, did you?
No, I just read that. It's like, interesting.
Yeah. And it's like, if you look at like, and success is, you got to look at how you define success and like all that. But like, if you look at success like that, how successful are you?
Yeah, everything that is.
Yeah. Do you clear stuff on here?
Yeah, you can.
Hey, right, wrong, good, bad, fun, fuck, all night, short, ways, beyond. There we go. Everywhere you guys all just win. Oh no, not me. You want it ready to like, would you be willing to begin to open that door of possibility to see the gift that you are?
Oh my goodness.
So everything that doesn't allow that, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Yes.
Cool. Right, wrong, good, bad, fun, fuck, all night, shorts, boys, and beyond.
Caroline, help me out here.
Yeah. Do any of you who are on here live with us right now, do you have any questions?
So if you don't want to raise your hand and you just want to unmute yourself, go ahead. That's also easy too. Or you can type in a comment or question in the chat box. But it's like, oh my God. I mean, right now, like just this whole conversation around acknowledgement and possibility is huge. Oh, hello. Hi. Did you have a question?
Oh, hi. No, just what really resonated with me was that to acknowledge your own successes so that you can see your gifts. And so that's what I would like to do.
Mm-hmm.
How do I ask that question?
So a couple of things. And what's your name?
Carol.
Carol? Hi, Carol. A couple of things you can do. You can actually ask, hey, universe, can you show me the gifts that I haven't been willing to see?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And start inviting that in. And also alongside that is like, and every day ask for your receiving of you to expand.
Okay, so ask the universe how I what are the gifts that I have not been acknowledging, and then learn to receive those gifts.
Expand your receiving of you every day.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
how do you expand your receiving of you?
Well, you ask that question of like, universe, show me the gifts of me, and they will show up. They will, like, people, like, I've asked this recently, and that I have, like, why not? Right? And the amount of feedback that I've been getting since I started asking that question as to what has been created in people's lives by my presence has been humbling. I don't know if that's like, and it's melting me in a really beautiful way. And so that is expanding my receiving. And then even so, I notice there's an energy that I notice when someone says something to me, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to receive that. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to just lower my barriers, and I'm going to take that in and receive it. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it wrong. It's not significant. It's just like, I'm receiving this because I've asked for it. I've asked to be shown so that I can show up more. Does that help, Carol? Yeah.
Yeah, and to protect yourself, like if you have that if you have that point of view that you're receiving those gifts, then there's no reason for you to be afraid of other people's energy that may be draining on you and wanting those gifts from you, but you didn't understand that you had those gifts.
Right. And so go ahead. Sorry, got excited there.
Once you have that understanding, what they're really wanting from you, then you can find a way to be balanced by protecting and to honouring your own gifts, but also able to give out what they're wanting from you in a balanced way.
Right. And it's a choice to do that. Right. And and that contribution piece is that, like, I think what you're speaking to, the balanced way, is that simultaneously gifting and receiving. Because if you're able to receive more of you, you can, like, when I'm like, even right now, I'm receiving me while I'm speaking to you. It's not me draining myself of giving you information. It's actually a simultaneously gifting and receiving.
Okay, so it's a different looking at it. So it's gifting and receiving.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for the question.
Yes, thank you. Great question.
Mm-hmm.
I did write some of it in the chat box. Universe, show me the gifts that I have not acknowledged. That's a big one. I know I have that one going on, so I need to ask that one.
Start asking.
Yeah, I'm going to keep asking. I'll begin asking. I've never really asked. I'll begin asking.
Yeah.
And expanding your receiving of you. That is I don't know. I still don't get it. So I'm kind of like, what? So, how do I do that? What do I do? That one is one I need more clarity on, please.
Well, are you allowed to receive you?
No.
Okay. Well, so everything that is, will you start and create that?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And so whatever you've defined as receiving you, what you have to be, what you don't have to be, and it just all that, like, conglomerate of, like, different people and parents and family that you're like, I don't want to receive me because that's how they see me. Well, you're just trying to create that.
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So the receiving of you, and the receiving is, it's not catching. Right? Oftentimes, like, you think receiving is like, people can come to me thinking like receiving is catching like a baseball. I got it. I received it. Receiving is this, it's always, the energy is always moving. It's never a lock in. There's always the choice. There's always the question. There's always the possibility. There's always the contribution available to us if we choose it. So receiving you, right? is like, okay, cool. In this moment, like, you know, I'm being this way. Cool. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. And in this moment, like, even like the past few days for me, the creation of my days have been so dynamically different. Like, there have been mornings where I'm on fire, and then I'm finished with a call that was awesome. And then I go, "Fonk," like this. And then I start asking questions to see what that is. And I get my bars running, like, you know, and in that receiving me, it's like, oh, what I've discovered this week is I'm very dynamic and colorful. Right? And that's what I'm receiving more of me. Whereas even if a couple weeks ago, I would have gone into the wrongness of the like coming down, so to say, and it wasn't even coming down. It's like, oh, there's major change going on right now. Mm-hmm. What do I require? And part of that requirement is to get out of the judgment and continue to receive what's showing up.
Right. And so, you know, even asking that question, what do I require right now? You know, how often do we not do that? So Randy's asking, what can we do to improve and expand our faith?
So Randy, I have an idea. What does faith mean to you?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
What does faith mean to you?
Oneness with all that is.
Okay.
When I'm at the lake and the turtle pops up and I share that I see you, and I know that it's not just one turtle, that everybody, the lake, the turtles, the fish, the mud, it all is sharing that same I see you, that ultimate faith in oneness with all that is in God. So I'm dealing with learning to heal MS and a spine injury. So what happens is, you know, as much as I expand, I refer to this inevitable sensation and pain. So, and I know that if I can expand my faith or increase my faith continuously, I believe that will be instrumental in accepting and allowing the healing that I am. And yet, you know, as soon as I move to let out the dog or anything, any function, it's so much pain that you know, it grounds me back in not believing.
So can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
Are you including your body in faith?
Yes, and there's this sensation that's beyond equation. But that reminds me of my limitation.
Is it, and we're just playing, is it a limitation, or is it so oftentimes with the body, the intensity and pain, yes, it's intensity and pain, and sometimes it's a level of communication that the body is gifting to us. What would if your spine could talk, what would it be telling you?
It's if I say it, it's, you know, if I don't laugh, then I'm crying. If I say what I'm thinking to answer that question, it's going down a dark path. So you know, that's why I'm not saying it. That's why I'm asking for a way to expand on faith. Okay,
so and maybe hop on a clarity call. So if you don't want to say this with everyone, hop on a clarity call with me. In that, I wonder if saying it would open the door to what's behind the darkness.
Well, it feels like I'm dying. And, okay. You know, I've been doing this for a while, and it's like Humpty Dumpty. I've been with every healer there is. And it still feels like I'm dying.
And the next question I'd ask you too is, are you dying, or is all the limitations you've put on yourself dying?
Yeah, with the mind, I'm able to expand into oneness with all that is. You know, I had an experience. I shared love and joy with a termite the other day. It climbed up my foot and spread its wings and flew off into being infinite in creation of all itself. And rather than all those popular beliefs in regards to the termite, you know, I went with this tickles and this is pure joy and love. And yes, we're sharing this. I could feel it. And it was oneness with all that is at the same time. You know, I feel my body, and it takes me in that other direction. There's a paradoxical nature to it.
Yeah. Have you, Randy, how much access have you done?
Bars for more than 3 years, and that's my only course so far.
Do you have someone near you that could run restoration of communion with the earth on you? Is there people around you that can run a body process for you?
I have some advanced bars for friends. I can definitely look into that. Restoration of communication with the earth? Restoration of communion with the earth.
And you just actually ask your body to run it right now. And do you even notice a slight difference right now? There's no right answer.
You know, I feel a tingly effervescence in my crown that you're sharing in the assimilation. Sure.
Okay, cool. So ask that to run right now. And then the other thing I'll invite you to play with, and everybody play with this, with your spine, with your body, if there's any intensities in your body, is imagine, so what can happen when we have pain is it feels like imagine a rose that's tight and hasn't opened up yet, right? And so it looks like the rose looks like it's tight, right? And so from the intensity of, if there's any intensity in your body, in your world, imagine it as a rose opening up and blossoming to release any of that tension, and then let it expand out like it's receiving all of the sunshine.
I'm with that mentally, and I do have faith in that.
Yeah.
But there's this experience. It's like the paradox to that, or the experience of sensation is like it's like if you don't use yet at the end of your conclusions, you know, you're rolling the snowman, and the way MS is progressive, it just becomes larger and more dense with time. Every time you move, every time you wake up, it's like rolling the snowman. As much as I'm able to free myself and expand in oneness with all that is, my body reminds me of all these other things that are other than love that are so popular in relation and in the industries. You know, I'm sensitive to the collective conscious. I'm up against a whole bunch of big industries here too.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for being so willing to share that. A couple of things you can look at is like what you can truly ask, what else is possible here, right? What else? Hey, body, what else is possible here? Like, this doesn't work. I really want to be able to get up from my couch and let my dog out without feeling pulled back into the darkness. And start asking those questions. And then also our points of view create our reality. So if you have the point of view that your body is showing you the darkness of humanity, then it will. Your body is brilliant and it will listen to you.
And so that's important for everybody to hear, that our points of view create our reality. This is not just for Randy and his body, but for everybody who is experiencing anything in their life that's not working, right? In your life, in your business, in your body, you know, your point of view creates your reality. So what can we do to change those points of view, right?
Right. And, interesting point of view. I have this point of view.
Mhm.
What point of view could I have here that would change this?
How about the fact that, I turn on the light, it attracts bugs. In other words, as a bright light, like Rudolph. You know how Rudolph in the beginning of the movie, everyone's judging and criticizing and blaming, naming, and all those things that are other than love, just for being a bright light. It's like that. And then,
well, I'm going to pause you right there. What happened with Rudolph?
Ultimately, he saved the day and was able to be part of the quantum magic that is,
And he never was not part of it. He kept going to show the difference that he was. He kept going. No matter how many games he was left out of, no matter how many names he was called, no matter what, he kept going.
What about the popular nature of how, putting out the bright light serves the darkness? Because I feel that. I feel when I'm a bright light, when I'm bringing in the most amazing healing and creation energy and oneness with all that is, there's just so many people and places and things that are geared over time towards putting that out. Angels have been crucified and hunted.
And we can, it can, the sense can be that way. And the question really is, are you willing to be the dominant entity, the dominant energy in your life? That those things it's that receiving thing. When we're not willing to receive, those things really bump up. They're like, boom, in our face. There it is again. And there it is again. And there's a jerk. And there's a this. And there's a that. And Trump's doing this and blah, 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 blah. Right? But if we're willing to receive it without a point of view that it's dark versus light, right? Whether it's good versus bad, it's like, oh, that's something that I actually would rather not have in my world. What can I choose now to create beyond that? And being the dominant energy so that you are the choosing one. You are not at the effect of. And that being in that space will allow you to open up to the more and more healing so that you can be the light. And there also is awareness. Like if you're a healer of magnitude that is aware of so much, how can you create your life so that when you need this space to be alone, you make sure you have it, that you call people up and you call your clients or whatever you're up to, or you call your friends and you be like, I've got to cancel lunch on you. I got to be by myself. So that you start creating from the space of you're the dominant energy, you're the choosing one, so that it becomes the world that I hear about, right? You know about a world of possibilities. And there is this other piece that keeps going on top of the light. Now what can you choose?
So Randy, I would definitely make a suggestion to have a session with Maggie. We do the clarity call with Maggie. So it's which is a great segue into talking about your gift. All right, Randy, thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you for addressing such a epic opportunity. Peace be with you. Compassion is a verb.
True. I love that. Thank you. And so, so we're talking about the clarity call with Maggie. So Maggie, can you tell us, it's on the gifts page already.
And Caroline just signed up.
Yay!
How is it better than that? And I will, if there isn't, if you find me on Facebook, if you go on there and their spots are taken, let me know. I'll be updating that. That gets updated regularly with my schedule, but go grab it if it lights you up to go do that. But the clarity call is really like, let's get clear. What do you want as your life and living? And, what are the possibilities available to get you there? Mm-hmm. And because sometimes we are just in our head all the time, and we are just like going in circles, right? And we just need some clarity. So I was like, So I was actually going to book a session too, and it's like, but I didn't find anything on the calendar because, I'm like 9 hours from you. So it's like, Okay. So I was like, I'll have to talk to Maggie about that. Yes, I will. I will be updating that. I have like back to back to back this afternoon, but I will update that so that you guys all can, and PM me if you, and let me know so I can, I will let you know for sure. But if you can't find something, just private message me and let me know so I can pop some more things on the schedule. Schedule wise, I just do that because that's what I know what works, and then there'll be other times. So
yeah, absolutely. And, but don't be scared by the form. Don't be scared by the questions,
like good information. And like the form, actually use that as a tool. If you're going to choose the clarity session, use that as a tool of like, oh, this, like, bring that to the clarity session of like doing whatever it takes brought up a lot for me, Maggie. I really I really didn't want to do that. I'm trying to recall what all the thing is, but there's intention, a reason, there's a knowing behind me asking those questions.
Mm-hmm.
And so use it as your pre-game show where you get to look at, oh, okay, cool. This will have you gain even more clarity before you even show up with me.
Absolutely. Perfect. Thank you. Because I saw the questions too, and it's like, oh, okay. Well, is there anything that I'm not willing to do? It's like, no, I just can't find a spot. It's like, But it's true, because sometimes even those questions will bring up stuff, and that's the opportunity for you to look at it and, then choose differently. So go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to say, maybe even go look at those questions and maybe that's enough to get clarity. Who knows, right? It's like, because I will have people go and fill it out and be like, I'm so much clearer from filling out that thing. And then they come to me and there's clarity. And then we just really much, they spit out their clarity to me. Mm-hmm. And not to say that's like, let's not set any projections or expectations. And the willingness to go and actually look at those things is part of what creates that which you desire to have.
Yeah.
And so it might take a little bit of courage to come and have a clarity call with me.
But that's what it takes. It takes courage to create your life, beyond the mediocre, right?
Absolutely.
And so, even if you have to look at the form a couple of times before you actually hit submit, do that, because things may come up, and so, but don't give up, because if you don't submit, you're kind of giving up on you, right? And staying mediocre, because who knows what the clarity call will bring up, right? Don't go into the of it.
We really don't know until we get there.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like we think it should look a certain way, and that's why sometimes we won't actually hit the submit button, because there's no way, but be open to different possibilities, and for anything to show up, and whatever it's going to be will be a contribution to you in some way, right? And that's the thing. Everything. Oh, I guess we're talking about contribution for a few minutes.
Isn't that fabulous?
I think everything can be a contribution to your life and living if you allow it to be.
So, which brings me to a question where we begin. What to anything that shows up, what contribution is this to me? And then what? And then what contribution can I be to? If whatever is going on in your life, if you're creating a class, if you're hanging out with people, what contribution can I be here? And again, that simultaneous gifting, receiving, that beauty, that dance of that expands in that.
So I just got an aha. So, when you're asking these questions, you're really being present in that moment. Right? With your life, with whatever's going on, you're being present when you're asking that question, so you really can be out of your head, and you can be here in the present moment and create your life, because you can't create in the future. You can only create right now. Can somebody record that? Oh yeah, I'm recording.
Yeah, meme. Make a graphic out of that one.
I know, right? I was like, oh, that's a good one. But sometimes we think that we can't create right now. We're only going to create in the future. It's like, well, I'm not ready to create yet. Things are not in place yet for me to create my life, but can you talk about that? Really?
Yeah, that's BS. For one, and actually, I think yesterday I put on my Facebook page, like, it was a typewriter image that just was Just Start, because it's I forget the name of the video, but I watched the video, but it's like, and I can share with you and see how we can connect people to this video. But it's like, you just start. If you want to get in shape for a marathon, you do something. Some people do it every day. You do something every day that works towards that.
Yeah.
You're like, because I would love like a business that has multiple employees. I am nowhere near that right now. That's terrifying right now. Like, oh, right. And every day I'm looking at like what's required to create that. And so it really is just start. So no, I'm not necessarily ready. If you threw a business at me that had 100 employees, I probably could handle it. I'll probably handle it with a little more grace as I work into it and what else is possible. But it's like knowing of just start every day, do one thing towards what you'd like to have. And that, I mean, and the physical body piece of the video I was talking about is like, you go to the gym and you work out and you look in the mirror after one workout, you don't really notice a difference.
Right.
The next day you go and you look in the mirror, you don't really notice the difference. You go 30 days later of 30 days of, practicing yoga, so to say, you notice a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is every step every action that you take, and every question that you ask, and every time you're being space instead of being in your head, right? And every time you're including your body in the conversation, all of those things are actions, they're things that you can do every day. So we're not talking about call up 5 people and say, hey, I'm looking for a job. Can you help me out? We're not saying that, but, asking the question, being present with the body, saying, body, what do you require, and what would it take for this to show up? Or, all of those things are things that we can do every day, right?
Absolutely. And it is those every day. And just say, like, if there's a skill set that you, like, for videos for me used to be terrifying. Speaking to people used to be terrifying. So I created a program where it was like 30 days of Facebook Live so that I would get in it. I started making videos over and over and over again so that it was comfortable. I created more classes. I started doing Zoom so that this is now easy and fun for me, but it was not before. Don't be fooled.
Yeah. You make it look easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Caroline says, I think I want guarantees. I'm still listening to fear.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that on our call.
Yeah, there are no guarantees. I think the only guarantee is to continue asking, continue being in the question, continue being present, continue being aware of what's coming up for you, and is that a guarantee? We're not always going to remember to use the tools either every day. Right? Yeah. So the only guarantee you can have is you're going to breathe. Just keep breathing. But sure, and that's about being in control. We're looking for a desired outcome, right?
Yeah.
And how it should look. So totally get you there, Caroline. I'm the same way in that way.
You're not the only one.
No. So again, I invite you all to jump on the clarity call with Maggie. It's a 30-minute free gift clarity call. So why not? I'm sure we all have some area in our life that we could use some clarity on. And this is a perfect time, because it's, any day is a perfect time. So just do it. Just hop on it. I thought it was amazing. I was like, are you sure? And she's like, yes. It's like, okay. It's like, why not? So the image, Randy says the image that he's sharing is a negative ion generator zapping my shungite water natural healing. Oh, cool. I was wondering what that was. And so thank you. And so before we go, Maggie, is there any one last tool or tip or piece of wisdom that you can share with us that can be a contribution to us to go beyond mediocre and into infinite possibility?
Well, yeah, I would reiterate on the being curious, stay curious. And if there's that bubbling underneath knowing, and you don't see out in the world that which you want to create, you might just know something and you might be the one here to create it.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. And I'm still giggling at the closed doors thing. It's like, it's not a closed door, it's an open door. It's like, oh.
Right.
So
Yeah, perspective,
yeah, right. So there are so many nuggets and so much wisdom and so many tools in this call that I really encourage you all to listen to the replay or watch the video again. It'll be out on the replay page shortly, but definitely there's just so much information here and tools that you can start to use to create your life, to go beyond mediocre to infinite possibility, with the tools of choice, question, possibility, and contribution.
Yes.
So we covered them all. It's like, yes. So thank you so much, everyone, for your questions, for your feedback. And thank you so much, Maggie. This was absolutely brilliant. I received so many ahas for myself. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm grateful to be a part of this. Thank you so much.
And have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thank you. See you later.
For all of you, who are enjoying the holidays in the U.S. or anywhere else around the world, enjoy the holidays. And until next time, continue to live your life filled with joy, peace, love, abundance, and happiness. Sending you all much love and blessings always. Bye for now.
Bye.